Ohio's top government officials have spent the week spreading the message that the water in East Palestine is safe to drink, even drinking some themselves on camera.
But displays like that, they haven't quenched everyone's doubts, let's say, about following that fiery train derailment. NBC4 investigates. Jamie Ostroff, you took all this to an expert. And there are some red flags, right?
I did. And a lot of people, even who can't analyze a research analysis on water samples, still have questions. So we took those questions to state officials. The first data we saw on East Palestine's drinking water came last week from a private consulting company hired by Norfolk Southern. As crews work to clean up after a toxic train derailment, people in East Palestine remain skeptical about their drinking water.
I won't even drink our water right now. And I have a cat. She likes getting drinks out of the water fountain, and I won't let her do it.
I want to be safe for me, my workers, my customers that come in, our shop cat, everybody. I want to know that it's safe.
And Sam Bickley,
so I'm an aquatic ecologist,
says he can't blame them. Bickley recently received his PhD from Auburn University.
A lot of my work focuses on impacts to water quality and surface water, so streams and rivers.
Like many people across the U.S., the news out of East Palestine caught Bickley's attention.
I saw the governor's statement that the water was safe to drink, and based on my background, my experience doing this type of work, also kind of reviewing these types of reports and documents. As a researcher, I wanted to look at the data myself.
He reviewed this February 15th report, among the first released publicly last week on East Palestine's water supply. It was compiled by a private lab for a consulting firm hired by the rail company.
So before the testing lab gets these samples, there's somebody out in the field who has to follow very strict protocols.
Protocols are set by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. The report notes that some of those protocols weren't followed when the samples were collected. pH levels outside the testing method limits. Samples unpreserved. The report says the impact to the data as a result of these issues is unknown.
I would not make a decision in an academic setting based on that. I certainly want to make a decision in a public health situation based on those data.
I took Bickley's concerns to the Ohio EPA, which is conducting its own testing in East Palestine.
It's not just simple showing up, throwing water in a bottle.
The agency provided this footage of the chief of the Drinking and Groundwaters Division.
So there's a lot of steps that we take to ensure the integrity of these samples. There's a lot of steps to make sure that we're collecting at the right place, that we have the correct containers, that we're using gloves to properly, make sure we're not having any contamination into the sample, and then ensuring that we have proper documentation for each of the samples as well.
A spokesperson for the agency told me the issues in the contractor's initial report were not enough to invalidate the results, showing the water is safe. A spokesperson from AECOM, the private company that collected those first samples and is still sampling, said their team in East Palestine has been trained to follow the procedures set by state and local officials and that they stand by their work. I also reached out to Governor Mike DeWine's office, and his press secretary Dan Tierney told me the more testing that is done, the more reliable those results will be, which is why crews are still testing as we speak. He added that East Palestine's municipal wells are far enough from the derailment site to remain safe.